It all comes down to this. The winner of the Championship League will be determined by the winner of this best of 5 frame contest. It is China against Scotland, youth against experience.
John, do you want to call?
Zhou Yuelong, 20 years of age, against John Higgins, 22 years,
your choice.
Zhou's senior. The referee is Rob Spencer, just working on the zapper to make sure everything is right with the scoreboard.
Game, John.
And off we go. A race to 3
First frame.
To determine who will be lifting the trophy. They arrived here by different methods. Zhou Yuelong won Group number 1 way back in early January. John Higgins won Group 7 here on Tuesday night.
One.
And the way he's been playing and the way he battled against Mark Selby, you have to make him quite a powerful favourite. Looking for his 3rd tournament win of the season.
3. Four. Thanks, John. $11. $12.
Installed as favourite in many places to win the group when it started yesterday morning. And that favouritism has been well and truly justified. He's played some lovely snooker.
20. $25. $26.
Needed to hit the pink on the nose. It wasn't quite full ball, but it was very close.
31.
Yeah, just about 3/4 ball.
$32.
If Higgins does win this match, and therefore the tournament, it would be 11 tournaments won this season by that great triumvirate, Higgins, Williams and O'Sullivan. All of them well into their 40s. They call them Snooker's class of 1992 because that's when they turned professional. And now, over a quarter of a century later, they remain phenomenal players.
40. Blue ball.
This time, not into the pack as he wanted to go. Skimming off
45.
them. Not quite into the blue, into the cue ball as much as he wanted.
John Higgins 45.
And at that pace, that was a really tough pot.
Yeah, sure. One.
We've been extolling the virtues of John Higgins, but we must not underestimate Zhou Yuelong, who's played some delightful snooker himself.
Eight.
He's been potting really well from distance. And that's a sure sign of confidence.
No. Forty. $50.
He wouldn't be the youngest ever winner of the Championship League. He's 20 now, is Zhou Yuelong. And that's because when Judd Trump won it for the first time, he was still a teenager. That was in 2009. Still, though, a victory over these best of 5 frames would be a major accomplishment for Zhou.
70.
And a step up.
$80. $23. $24.
Potting balls across this top cushion, never easy. I think the red was frozen to the cushion, which made it slightly simpler. Now then, this could be the crux pot of the opening frame.
31.
Nicely done. The cue ball and red a little too close to each other for absolute comfort.
39. So you're on 39.
And that's why he overcut it. So John Higgins breathes again. Had that red gone in, Zhou would have been a strong favourite for the frame. Odds on. Short odds on.
One.
If he stopped in time for the pink, it's a real bonus.
Seven. Eight. Yeah, sure.
Asking Rob Spencer to clean the cue ball because he's playing a follow through here, and the last thing he wants is a kick. Higgins 14 points to the good. So from here, blue, yellow and green.
Thirteen. 15. 80.
The great John Higgins doesn't miss many of those. 24 in front, 22 on, one snooker needed at the moment. Now though, it's definitely 1-0.
$27. 33 in the first frame, John Higgins.
Missing the penultimate red to the middle pocket proved costly for Zhou Yuelong. John Higgins stepped in with a clearance, and that's why he leads by 1 frame to 0. Just after the semi-finals finished, I received a phone call from our colleague Michael McMullen, who's done a lot of...
Frame. John Higgins to break.
Now, for most of the last couple of days, Zhou has been potting this kind of red with regularity. Now, whether he'll take this one on, you have to doubt because of the positional implications. Yeah, not surprised. He played the dump shot, the containing shot, It's all very well taking a risk if there's going to be a reward at the end of it. And he could have taken on that red, which was a tough one anyway, potted it and landed on nothing. So there was really no point. Now that was so close. Higgins' spider plant. You really fancied it. And it caught a lot of the pocket. Just grazed that near jaw. And when you do that at pace, you're lucky if they drop. You might be wondering what happened when these two played each other in the round-robin phase of this winners group. Well, that occurred first up this morning. And it was Higgins who prevailed by 3 frames to 2, making a 74 break in the decider. Doesn't want to cut it so fine this time. Of course, pressure on both players, given what's at stake. But slightly less pressure on John Higgins than on Zhou Yuelong, because if Zhou wins, it gets him into the Champion of Champions in November, right here at the Rico, actually. Higgins, his place already under lock and key. One player who will be watching out for this result with interest will be Michael Zhou, who won the shootout earlier this season. That's quite low down the pecking order in terms of qualification for Champion of Champions, but if there's a lot of repeat winners, Zhou could get in. And obviously a victory here for Higgins tonight would be very much to his advantage in that regard. When you miss balls like that, then get the double kiss as well, you can expect the mistake to be costly. Actually, could have left something much easier to start than this. Well, I think Higgins would be the first to admit he made a hash of that. And so indirectly, Zhou's poor pot from distance has come to his benefit.
1.
Queuing over like that, he's done really well to find the gap
Yeah, sure.
on the black. And now with a really good scoring chance, and therefore an opportunity to draw level. His scoring has been eye-catching in this group. He's made 4 centuries so far, including the highest break of the group, 141.
Eight. Nine.
Well, I think we've seen more balls cleaned over the last hour or so, both in the semi-finals and final, than we've seen all day, all group even. Maybe players are more conscious of the fact that there might be chalk on a ball or a hair or something like that, because when the stakes go up, it becomes even more expensive when you have a dreaded kick. I think this is really interesting all season, and with every justification, in fairness. Most of the talk
16.
about the potential successor to Ding Junhui as China's leading player has been about Yan Bingtao. And that's entirely appropriate. The teenager has played superbly, almost won the Northern Ireland Open, beaten 9-8 by Mark Williams in the final after leading 8-7. I was about to say, what Zhou is doing here
16.
puts him back in the conversation, but then he misses a red. And Higgins leaps from his chair.
Cheers, John. Thank you.
Struck that one badly. Didn't time it well. He's not the best player with the rest. Higgins would be the first to admit that. His striking on the white was a little lower than he wanted it to be. And that's why he's not on the black plum. In fact, he's not on the black very well at all. Pressure pot coming up.
John Higgins 1.
Chance spurned. Okay, the black was missed, but the fault really was in the positional shot before it.
Six. Seven. 30.
Well, the first
Yuelong,
red he
30.
missed to middle, it was unexpected. That one, unforgivable. The most simple pot imaginable. I'm sure that John Higgins, having given up 2 chances in this frame, is highly delighted to be only 28 points adrift. Mind you, needs the rest again.
Foul. Thank you.
He really does struggle with that in comparison with the rest of his game. So a third look. A third spell in amongst them for Zhou.
1. Six. Seven. Forty. 50. 20. 21.
'Surely it's going to be a level board now.
27. 28.
This routine black and one more red.
$35. 36.
'Higgins
43.
just misjudged a plant early in the frame. He overcut the black from its spot, which was tricky in fairness, and then went in off in trying to pot another red to middle.
Thank you.
You can't afford to make 3 mistakes at this level. He knows that all too well.
44.
And from the third Higgins error, this has been the result.
$51. 50. 52. 59.
There's just enough on the table for Zhou to make his 5th century of the group.
60.
By the way, it would be the 23rd century compiled in the winners' group this year. The standard's been terrific.
$66.
In order to make a century, he has to pot either pink or black off the last red.
67.
I think he's just realised. Be a shame if he snookered himself. He's not done that, but he's left himself well short.
73. 75. 78.
Potted some great balls in this break, hasn't he? And now he really should reach 3 figures.
$82. 87. 93.
And this is why Zhou Yuelong should not be underestimated.
100 in the frame. Yuelong.
Very nice clearance from the 20-year-old from Chengdu in China. And with that break of 100, Zhou Yuelong is back on level next season. It would be his second appearance in that event. He thoroughly enjoyed the first, and he wants to return. It's going to be quite some night for John Higgins because he's on the plane to Beijing in the morning, Glasgow to Amsterdam, and then on from there to the Chinese capital. So won't get an awful lot of sleep playing this match, then driving home. But that lengthy drive back north of the border would be a lot easier if accompanying him in the car was the trophy.
Well. Yeah, sure. 4. 5.
'Never easy to go into the bunch off the green. You have to rely on luck.
8.
Higgins played the shot pretty well, in fairness to him.
Touching ball.
Caught the meat of the pack, but all he's done is left a touching ball. Theoretically, there's a pot onto the green pocket, but bridging over, it's truly horrible. So taking advantage of the touching ball.
John Higgins 8.
The main thing was to cover the red in bulk, which Higgins has successfully done. Well displayed cue power in screwing the cue ball back. But to pot the red as well, that would have been asking an awful lot. And worse still for Zhou, he's left a red to middle. Higgins can get past the black.
One.
You have to say
6.
that John Higgins will go to the Crucible next month as one of a number of serious contenders.
Seven.
And he could go there with 3 trophies this season, maybe even 4, because of course his next assignment is the China Open. First things first though, he wants to get this one under wraps and become the first player ever to successfully defend the Championship League trophy. You can feel the intensity out there.
Thank you.
And again, it's the rest that scuppers him. It wasn't easy, No one's saying that. But that is the weakest part of his game. How about that? What a shot that is. He knew he couldn't leave anything with the pink over the pocket. But even so, the touch and the feel to get in behind the black like that. Tremendous.
Foul on the miss. John Higgins.
Looked short
Higgins
of the mark as soon as he made contact with it.
Yeah. Yeah, John. Foul on the miss. John Higgins 4.
This time not technically short, just inaccurate.
Yeah. Yeah, John. Touching ball.
He's left a touching ball, has Zhou. Has he left a red? Cue ball and object ball very close together. But Higgins can snick this one in.
Well.
Would have preferred to have been on the pink. But he can tickle in behind the yellow for another troublesome snooker if he wants to.
John Higgins 1.
Ten reds left. Zhou snookered on all of them. Now, if they were in the pack, he wouldn't be so worried. The fact they're fanned out makes his life all that more difficult.
Foul on the miss. John Higgins 4.
Now Higgins will take a look at the red across the top cushion and work out whether it's worth taking on.
Black, yeah.
Playing the percentages, and how can you possibly argue?
Just let me check. Yeah. John.
Now will Higgins be tempted this time?
Well.
Could play that with freedom, because the red the cue ball's closest to was blocking Zhou's path to the red that Higgins potted. Had he missed it?
Seven.
So the wily old tactical master has won that battle. Now it's a matter of just potting the balls.
Eight.
Something he's also very good at. Well, he's on a red, but how did he find that gap?
Zhou Higgins, 13.
He'll be disappointed to make only 13 from that. Okay, Higgins leads by 41 points to 0. But with so many reds left, this frame is far from one.
One.
Well, if the red closest to the cue ball passes the other red to top left, he's okay. It does. Confirmation. Rob Spencer, the referee, providing the extended rest, and now the extension goes on the cue.
Thank you.
That won't be entirely to his liking.
6.
Cue ball being so close to the side cushion. It makes a pot that's coming next all the more difficult, and also position. The really bold shot would be the black, but that's far too high tariff. That would be going over the boundaries between boldness and recklessness. I'll tell you what, that's a tremendous shot on the blue. Deserves to be on something.
11.
If he's not, and I don't think he is, hard luck. cued it really well, found the gap between yellow and brown for no great reward. As they say, an anywhere but there shot.
Thank you. Yuelong, 11.
I'll tell you what, at the age of 42, the old mince pies of John Higgins remain sharp and fit for purpose. That was a beautifully executed shot. Well played. The cue ball mighty close, but not in. And where it stopped, this is really awkward cueing for Higgins when you're placing your hand on the back of a pocket. Not a good feeling. Realised the only thing he could do was plain and simple containment. Nothing more. Well, Zhou didn't catch that one the best. A little too thick. And although he's left nothing, it gives Higgins the tactical initiative, and you don't want to do that. That's why. Is the blue covering the red over the pocket? If it is, Zhou's been very fortunate. Well, not just the blue, the two reds as well. Big pot this. Now it's Higgins who needs cover. Well, he attempted cushion first and made no contact on the red he wanted to hit. That could be costly.
Two.
Being the player in front, I don't think Higgins is overly concerned about a second red going in. Immediately deprives Zhou of 8 potential points by doing so.
Seven. Eight.
The blue will place Higgins 43 ahead. So just one more red required after this. And Zhou will need a snooker.
Thirty. 40.
When the pink goes in, Zhou will need 2 snookers. Nothing fancy, just getting the job done.
20. John Higgins 20. And the frame.
Zhou has a look at the table, realises that the chances of winning the frame are slim. And so, John Higgins, for the second time in this final, goes ahead. He led 1-0. Now he's leading by 2 frames to 1, and that means just one more frame needed for John Higgins to...
The fourth frame. John Higgins to break.
We've seen scores of frames in this Championship League this year. Is this going to be the very last one? John Higgins hopes so. Well, there's the first misjudgment. Red on for Higgins.
One.
I thought for a moment he was going to have a clear go at the black. So did Higgins, but then the red coming off the cushion leaves really awkward queuing.
John Higgins what?
The bedrock of the Higgins success over the years has been sense. Common sense. Well, what a kick that was.
Yeah.
You could hear the sound. Rob Spencer, the referee, knew full well that Zhou Yuelong was going to have the cue ball cleaned. All the pace was taken out of it. That was supposed to be under the top cushion. It was nowhere near because of the kick, nothing else. Cleaner contact, better result. Spied the gap, went for the shot to nothing, but the main thing was returning the cue ball deep into baulk, and that's exactly what Higgins has done. The red's already well fanned out, invitingly spread. Whoever gets in first could make plenty.
One.
That's the kind of pot that Zhou has been powering in all day.
Thank you. Full.
Well, clearly the red doesn't go to middle. And it looks from his expression as though he's dropped in no man's land. Well, thinking about what would be a very risky plant, lots of distance between the two reds.
Five.
Well done. This time not in no man's land, in absolutely prime position.
No.
He will not get a better chance than this. A wide selection of reds to choose from, and all of the three highest value colours available as well.
10. 70. 80.
If it wasn't for the situation, you would heavily favour a big number coming up here. But to compile breaks when you know any mistake could be your last, that's tough. And that wasn't the best.
25. Do you want the long spider?
Yeah,
This one?
Asking for the lung spider.
Yeah.
If you think the ordinary spider is difficult enough to use, double it for this. Not surprised he's missed it. Not surprised in the slightest. And the path is there, one red onto the other.
Yuelong. 25.
On the black, and Higgins could be away.
One.
Well, can you believe the red is blocking his path now? But can he get through to the pink? No more than he deserves.
John Higgins 1.
You just get the feeling at the end of a lengthy 4 days, John Higgins might be running out of steam.
One.
As for Zhou Yuelong, well, playing snooker all day, every day is second nature to him. And when you're 20, you're bound to have more stamina than when you're 42.
8. Nine.
A number of the overall finals in the Championship League have gone the distance down the years. This could well be another.
$60. $22. $23. Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Zhou's break goes to 30. The lead goes to 53. And so one more red
30.
and the pink. And Higgins will require a snooker.
$31.
Well, that
Yuelong.
is unbelievable. What an easy ball to miss on the verge of making it 2-2. What an easy ball to go astray.
One.
The yellow is quite clearly awkward. But if he gets that far, Higgins is a very good doubler. He might chance his arm if he can't get it out.
Eight. Nine.
Has some points to play with, doesn't have to worry solely about potting blacks. Other colours will do. The equation is that Higgins is
15.
39 behind, 43 on.
John Higgins.
But there will
50.
be no clearance now. I think if Higgins could have conceded there, he would have done. But of course you're not allowed to. If you don't need a snooker, you get fined for that. So he allows Zhou to come to the table to pop this very simple ball, which has already been knocked in.
And the frame.
And as soon as the red goes in, John concedes. And so we are going the distance. It is John Higgins 2, Zhou Yuelong 2. Now look, so it all boils down to a single frame. He's been in this position so often. He's won massive finals in deciders. Has he got anything left in the tank?
What?
Oh, what a delightful pot that was. So sweet. He actually knocked in a pot like this in his semi-final against Mark Selby. Landed ideally on the green and missed it. No mistake this time, though.
Full.
Well, there's no doubting his bottle. Maybe his concentration at the end of a tough day.
Five.
But you know one thing, he will muster every last ounce of resolve. The pink spot is occupied.
11.
All of the other spots are taken. So Rob Spencer had to put the pink nearest its own spot in a direct line with the black.
Cheers, thanks.
Well, this time using the rest.
12.
No snag. No problem. Well, he's left a red to middle. But boy, what a tough shot to take on in the circumstances.
$18.
A candidate for shot of the tournament, given its context. Lovely.
Yeah, sure.
Now it's all about potting this red,
23.
getting position, and if he does, it could be the beginning of the end.
$24.
Not ideal, but okay.
31. Yeah, sure.
Of course, no spectators here at the Championship League. There never is. It's a behind closed doors tournament. But that doesn't mean there's not tension out there.
Cheers, John. Thanks.
Moving ever closer to the winning line.
Cheers.
When he played Zhou Yuelong
32.
in the round-robin phase of this group, at 11 o'clock this morning, he completed a 3-2 win with a 74 break in the decider. Can he win this in a single visit?
39.
He won't contemplate the red. He wants to take next to the pink unless he's absolutely sure he can get through to it. And clearly, that certainty is not there.
$40. 45. $46.
The composure, the class, the ability to produce under pressure. The hallmarks of a champion. And this time he is on the red, next to the pink, and it's all looking rather bleak
53.
for Zhou Yuelong.
$54.
This has been a textbook break at a time when he needs it most. But the pink, that might come to Zhou's rescue. Rob Spencer has to be really careful here because a millimetre either way could make a mile of difference. Higgins believes he can get through. He could get through. So this simple pink and one more red for the title. And what a way to win it in a single visit. Higgins having to wait to pot the decisive ball.
Thank you. 67.
Now he can pull the trigger.
68.
He's a winning machine, this man. No sign of slowing down, well into his 40s. And given the quality of this break, it would be entirely fitting
70.
if he finished off the tournament with a century.
$76.
The cue arm now free. He knows he's won yet another tournament.
81.
No century, but the trophy. John Higgins, for the second year in succession, is the Championship League winner. He has beaten Zhou Yuelong 3-2 in the final.